Are you ready to lead with impact? Well, friend, you're in the right place. Today, you can join Carol Fairman and Dr. Guy Henry as they begin exploring what it means to lead with impact. So, pull up a chair, grab your coffee, a pen and paper, and get ready to have some deep conversations with Carol and Guy as they walk you through what it means to lead with impact. Welcome to Lead with Impact. In this episode, we're diving into one of those most transformative skills for leaders and anyone striving for success. If you guess goal setting, you are right. And this isn't your average set a goal and hope for the best chit chat. We're going to break down the four key components of effective goal setting: thinking, planning, preparing, and executing. And we're going to explore how they work together to help you achieve meaningful and lasting success. And along the way, we're also going to tackle the difference between goals and desires and share those practical tips and wisdom and inspiration. So let's get started. So, Guy, I'd love for you to take us into point one, thinking that foundation of success.
Yeah. When it's funny, when I think in general, when we think about goal setting, we don't think about thinking. And
Right.
yet that is that foundation for success. And again, this is for leaders. This is for anyone who wants to have success in their year. Because as we want to always make sure we're all leaders, we all have influence. And in that influence, what are our goals? Oftentimes at this time of the year, we set goals and we just expect them to happen. But I believe these four steps will really help us because in every almost any endeavor that we do, the one who can think through the process clearly, get some accurate ideas of what it's actually going to be, they'll be the ones that achieve more success. I read
Absolutely.
recently by a guy named Brian Tracy. His quote was this: the activity for which we get paid the greatest revenue is thinking. I don't know of anybody
Powerful.
who that recognizing that we get paid for thinking, but it's those end results of taking that time to
So
think things
true.
through.
And the real value is often created not just through that physical labor or even the technical skill, but the power comes in that thoughtful, creative, and decision-making process. So it is really powerful. And leaders and high achievers, they distinguish themselves by dictating the time and energy and thinking. And again, that visualizing, analyzing, evaluating, and planning. So those things are very critical. Brian Tracy's onto something. That thinking is powerful. It's where creativity and problem solving come together. And those
Right.
innovative ideas, they're born. It's powerful.
It really is to recognize that thinking is not just a thing, not just thinking.
Right.
It is visual. It's
Right.
analyzing. It's evaluating some of the processes before we start getting into those planning stages. And it really,
Right.
there's a big difference between thinking and daydreaming
Yes.
because thinking is intentional, daydreaming just happens.
Yeah.
So thinking is actually a skill, and with any skill, it requires intention. We have to really
Yes.
focus, and I'll tell you, it's difficult. If you just challenge yourself to sit for 10
Yeah.
minutes, only thinking, and don't let distractions come, you can begin to focus on the end from the beginning and visualizing each step as you begin to work towards it.
That's so important. And setting aside that dedicated time to think without those distractions, right? That's where those best ideas are going to come to life. And it's going to help you really take clear and strategic thinking to a new level, right? It's just
Yeah.
powerful. It is that first step in transforming a dream into that tangible, actionable goal. It is so good. And so, really, like you're saying, we have to ask ourselves, what does success look like? What are challenges that I might face? Like, we're really just setting that time aside to really think
Mhm.
about that and take those techniques to really build out that dream. And then, which leads us into planning, right? That blueprint to actually achieving that thing that we're envisioning because leaders are visionaries, right? We are visionaries as leaders, whether it is at home where your family's going to go, the ministries that we lead, the children that we're raising, it requires that dedicated time of visioning where are we going?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have to add in that layer, that next layer of planning. And that's the blueprint, right? The blueprint of that achievement. And there's that famous saying, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And a good plan not only lays out the path to success, but it also identifies those potential pitfalls before us. So before we derail, right? And so the planning matters. It absolutely matters. What are your thoughts on that?
Let's keep in mind it is a distinguished step. In other words, we start
Yes.
with thinking. And we can't
Yes.
think of thinking as anything other than it's an actionable step. It's something we're
Exactly.
actually doing. It's an action within itself. It has to be intentional. Once we can visualize what it is we want to achieve in any one of those areas, then we can start planning. Like you say, it's a
Yes.
blueprint. I'm just creating it in my mind. I'm making a
Right.
blueprint of it. Um, because that's where we can at least eliminate some of the obstacles. Because if we actually take the time to plan it through, if I do this and then that, oh, wait a minute, I can't do that before this. We can
Right.
minimize some of those surprises that we find
Absolutely.
along the way. And what it's really doing is it's not wasting time, it's investing time. Because if we
Yes.
can avoid some of those pitfalls, we've just saved a bunch of time and maybe a little bit of frustration along the way.
Exactly. It's yeah. Those unnecessary detours and setbacks, they're annoying, right? They just get in the way, they complicate things,
And
right?
if we're
And
intentional about asking ourselves, what could go wrong here? Because
right.
when we daydream, we don't see that. But when we're really
That's true.
thinking and we start to plan, then we can wait a minute, that's not going to work. And now that I'm thinking it
Right.
all the way through, now I can backtrack. Better to do it
Exactly.
in a planning stage than in an execution stage.
And when we're in that planning stage, we're not just gonna go running out 100 miles an hour, right? Because 'Cause
Right.
we've gotta
Yep.
get there. We gotta break that goal down into smaller action steps with deadlines, and we have to anticipate those challenges that you're talking about. We wanna prepare in advance what those solutions might look like so we don't just come to a screeching halt. And we have to also remember that these plans are gonna evolve. We wanna be flexible. We wanna be able to make those adjustments as we approach our detours or setbacks, right? We wanna have a well thought out plan no matter what road we're taking, but be flexible enough to say, okay, I can do this, especially us D types. Oh, and the direct leaders, I shouldn't have shortened it like that, but those really thoughtful leaders will get caught
Mhm.
up in just this is the plan, it's the only
Yeah.
plan. And
Yeah.
the D leaders are
They
like,
have to
we're going, we're going. Those direct leaders just want to
somehow
get
finding
there.
something in the middle there, right?
That's exactly it.
And
Finding
actually
the middle
setting
ground.
those
Yes.
deadlines. We can't just wait for it to happen. I think we need to challenge ourselves. Along the way, I need to give myself 3 weeks to do this or 3 months, whatever the case may be. Be realistic, push yourself, but don't be unrealistic. This is
Yes.
what I can get done, and this is what will be done. And then remember, we need to stay flexible. We might have to make an adjustment. Some of us don't like making adjustments along the way, but we can't anticipate everything. So when something happens, that's okay. We're not going to give up. We're not going to throw it away. We're just going to make an adjustment and keep moving towards the goal.
Exactly. And so part of that for us less than flexible people, when you're planning your calendar for the week, just plug some time into your calendar, right?
Yeah.
Where you can just, it's a non negotiable. Don't let anybody horn in on that time. And then really just map out that plan. Just map out that plan. It's so good. And I'm just so excited about this topic. And I know we don't want to hang in here too long. So the biggest takeaway for today really is planning gives your goals structure and purpose, turning them from ideas, the big idea, into these achievable milestones. And so this has just been a powerful conversation today as we've talked about that foundation, the thinking, and the planning. And so we're going to leave you here and we're going to come back in next week and we're going to explore those others parts and I'm action steps and
Yes, that would be preparing and the
preparing
executing.
completely. But we will come back and break down the preparation and the importance of taking action on those plans. Any final thoughts for today's episode, Dr. Guy?
Maybe going back to the beginning in the sense that don't, it's a play on words, right? Don't think that thinking is just like empty time. This can be
Right.
very valuable, very productive, and very
Yes.
encouraging as you allow yourself to think what really might could happen.
So true. Because too many of us thought, some of us leaders think, I don't have time to sit around and just think or daydream. What a waste of my time when I could do doing, right? But you have nothing to do if you're not setting that intentional time really to do that thinking that you have pointed out. So what a
And there's a
great
quote: the
conversation.
activity for which we get paid the greatest revenue is
That's true.
through thinking. So keep it that way.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, we will see you as you get out there and lead with impact.
Till next time.